The first pitch here on Wager Talk TV. We are live Wednesday, August 19th, and we are live each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific for MLB First Pitch here on Wager Talk TV, and a bonus episode, of course, on Saturday and Sundays, bonus episodes, I should say, on the weekends at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And I don't need to tell many viewers because, as Dave knows, and Tony's on the weekend show a lot as well with me and Matt Josephs, we've had some tremendous turnout on those weekend shows, 300-plus live viewers, 1,000-plus overall the course of the day. So once again, be sure to check in on the weekends. It's the only live show here for baseball or basketball on the weekends, and it's MLB First Pitch, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, Saturdays and Sundays. But, of course, we are live Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, as we are right now. And I'm joined by some baseball experts, as we are each and every day. Dave Koken, Rob Vino, Tony Finn. Dave, I'll start with you. How'd you do last night? And I think you had a rare parlay release, which I wanted to touch on.
I did. I'm not a parlay player, but there is one exception to that rule. When I really like a couple of big chalk teams in baseball, I might go the parlay route. And I did that yesterday and pulled out two close games, the Astros and the Twins. The Twins game was incredibly frustrating at first because Maeda took a no-hitter into the ninth inning. Then he gives up a hit. They take him out, and the closer doesn't close, let's put it that way. It ended up 3-3, but they did win it in, I think it was the 12th inning, 4-3. So I got that. I missed with the Rangers yesterday, and I'm really pissed off at myself for not playing the Diamondbacks.
Again.
Yesterday's show, Teddy, Brian, myself, we all looking at this and saying, on the right side here, the clear value here is with the Diamondbacks. And I don't know if they played it. I didn't. And because I got scared of Luke Weaver. And that's why scared money doesn't win. Yep. When the value is there, you just got to take it. It's as simple as that. So anyways, I have only one play today on the entire board. I didn't play any hockey, and I played just one baseball game, and it's available right now at wagertalk.com.
And, you mentioned that, parlays in general, mathematically, of course, 3-team parlays, they should pay 8-1. They pay 5 or 6-1. That's right. Why, in general, parlays in football are such sucker bets. But from a money management perspective, it does sometimes make sense from a risk management, to lower that price. And it's interesting that you had the Astros day, because the game that bit me yesterday, my baseball loss, was actually the Astros run line. They win 2-1, and I laid -1.5. Being responsible for my clients, I got it down to basically a pick-em price versus -190, and it bit me. But long-term, that's a better move, I feel, for my clients to lay less juice there, even though it cost me a technical win yesterday. By the way, I was 13-2 going in, 13-4. The Lakers got me, Rob and Tony. We'll talk about that next hour on NBA Tip-Off. Rob Vino will be with me next hour, along with Tony Finn, on NBA Tip-Off at 3 Eastern. But right now, we're live on MLB First Pitch. And Rob Vino, great to have you on the baseball show, my man. What were you looking at yesterday on Tuesday in baseball? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, well, yesterday we won't talk about my baseball, Steve. The best play I had yesterday was a play on the Miami Marlins against David Peterson, who was eventually scratched. And so the no play became my best play of the day in baseball yesterday. So we won't talk too loud about that. NBA we'll talk about, as you say, next hour. Had a split in that. We're going to have one up in Major League Baseball this afternoon after this show concludes. But other than that, I didn't see too much, although there's some exciting games that we'll talk about here on this show. I didn't see too much on the board that I really was thrilled with.
Yeah, nothing wrong with being selective. I've been releasing basically like one baseball game a day, and it's been working well. Tony Finn, I know you're selective. I know you had a 6-0 sweep this past weekend. Have you kept it going this week? Can't hear you, Tony. The powers that be have cut him off. He must keep winning. That's a sign that you're winning.
Is that better?
I thought you were winning.
I actually liked it with the sound off, Tony. It was pretty good.
I backed right into that one. Yes, I did. I actually went 9-0 through Monday.
Wow.
But
nice.
Then yesterday I went 1-2 overall. I split my basketball and my
10-2
baseball
overall. Shame on you.
Well, my baseball was I got bit by what you guys have been preaching all year, and that was essentially the bullpen. And I got bit by the Atlanta bullpen because Tomlin had pitched pretty well up to a point. The Atlanta had a 3-run lead, and then the next thing I look up, and they're down that quickly. So I end up losing. It's okay. Today we wind up and we throw another fastball. We'll see what we can do.
So 10-2 overall, not too shabby. And I think most viewers will agree you're not going to win every day. Once again, wagertalk.com is where these best bets are available, both baseball and basketball. Dave also specializes in hockey. He's our hockey guy, and baseball, basketball, and hockey in full swing. And Dave, I like this first featured game we have. Let's get right into it. Yankees Rays. This is actually the one game that intrigued me the most, so I was glad that we had it on the lineup here as a featured game. The Yankees, of course, have had some offensive guys out. It did not matter over the weekend, but I think it had a lot to do with the fact the Red Sox could be maybe the worst team in baseball right now. The Rays are more legitimate, and they got them last night. Yankees lost that one 6-3. What are your thoughts going in here? Yankees are pretty good sized favorite because Garrett Cole's on the mound.
Well, and Garrett Cole, I think his last loss was sometime.
It's been a while.
I might have been in like 1840 or something like that. That guy just does not lose, and that's the problem here. I mean, I want to take Tyler Glasnow in a kind of a redemption spot because he did not pitch well against the Yankees earlier, and this guy's a talented young pitcher, and I'm sure he's going to be really fired up for this. But how do you go against Garrett Cole? You basically can't do it. It's priced accordingly. I mean, you're not going to get any bargains on Cole. I made the number right in that range, about 185. I made it actually a touch higher, but only like 4 or 5 cents. And Tampa's playing great ball, coming off a good game yesterday. I mean, I want to take him here, but number one, I'm actually not getting the value I want. And number two, it's just impossible to fade Garrett Cole at this point. What I wouldn't do is take the under, because I do need to see how Glasnow does in what I call a pressure situation. He hasn't had a lot of those yet. And coming out of the bad game that he had against the Yankees, I think there is some pressure on him to perform better here. I think this is going to be a good learning game as to whether Glasnow has risen to that level where you can start considering a number one level pitcher who comes through in big games, or if he's one of those guys who can do well against the less imposing teams and doesn't do well when the spotlight's shining.
Yeah, and I mean, Garrett Cole's the question mark here, Rob, because the Yankees lineup is missing some guys still.
Yeah.
They had no trouble against the Red Sox, but then again, that was the Red Sox.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rob? Right now, the Yankees about $1.80 favorite. The over-under is 8 to the over.
Yeah, it's interesting, guys, because as bad as Glasnow was against the Yankees, Garrett Cole was not phenomenal. Only lasted 4 2/3 and threw 107 pitches in those 4 2/3. In that meeting, if you just want to go by pitches per inning for both of these guys, Garrett Cole was stretched to 23 pitches an inning, and Glasnow was stretched to 26.5. So neither one had an easy time of it. Although, Garrett Cole's pitch count can be attributed somewhat to the 10 strikeouts that he recorded in those 4 2/3. I went back a little bit, only to last year, just to see how these two have been. And Dave made a point about he wants to see how Glasnow reacts to this situation. The Yankees might be in his head a little bit. I don't want to put too much into that, guys, because he's a young pitcher. But the 2 starts he's had against the Yankees, 8 innings total, 15 base runners allowed, 10 hits, 5 walks. But he's had the 14 strikeouts. It's a lot like Cole, who's got a 4.15 ERA since last year against Tampa Bay. That's 3 starts. But he's got 34 strikeouts in 17 1/3 innings. So both of them show that dominance that they have, right? The strikeout dominance. But when they're not striking guys out, they're getting hurt a little bit. It'll be interesting to step back and watch this one. I think Dave covered the line value really well in this game off of what he said. Total sits at 8.5. I was tempted to try, just on gut feeling, a first 5 under, thinking that both of these guys could come out and strike, have a lot of strikeouts, and maybe do some damage that way, keep it low scoring through the first 5, keep the bullpens out of it. But I do wonder a little bit about Glasnow. Like I say, 2 starts against a very talented Yankees team, hasn't had any success yet. We'll see. I think somebody just commented there, Glasnow's fastball has no movement, which is not certainly the case with Garrett Cole, who has a ton of movement. Just ask Trevor Bauer about spin rate. And
I wouldn't agree with that. I've seen enough of Glasnow, and when he's on, that's not a straight fastball. Okay, that baby's moving. But if he doesn't have his command, yeah, that can be the case. And I do wonder if he might be a guy with Sonny Gray syndrome. And what Sonny Gray syndrome is, absolutely dominant when nobody's watching. And then when the cameras go on in the big games, maybe not a guy you want.
And Tony, something that's interesting is Garrett Cole, by the way, it's a 20-game win streak now, 20 games. And, we talk about guys like DeGrom, we talked about a few weeks ago, gets no run support. And I said there is something to it, I think, because when you have an ace on the mound, it's human nature maybe not to come out as an A game offensively. Do you think the Yankees, though, probably want to get this one for Cole because he does have that win streak going?
Well, I think that's spot on. Listen, if I go into the craps table and know I have I'm playing with house money, I'm typically a little, I'm not quite as conservative or reserved. I'm not saying I'm less smart, but I feel a hell of a lot better at the table. This situation, really, you guys have covered it. Dave, all of you have covered it. And this is the deal. I made a lot of calls. He's healthy, and his fastball is 97, 98 miles an hour. Those are the good news. Bad news is his command is bad. He's missing across the plate. He's giving up home runs, and he's walking 16%. His strikeout rate is 37. It doesn't compensate for long balls and 16% walk rate.
Well, this happens to young pitchers.
Yeah,
I think he's trying to strike everybody out. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's better to take a little off the fastball, throw it 96 instead of 98, and locate it better. I mean, to me, that's something, and that's on the pitching coach. Pitching coach has to get to him and say, look, an out is an out. It doesn't matter if it's a ground ball, a pop-up, or a strikeout. You don't have to blow everybody away.
Yeah, it's not like the Red Sox can't hit. I think we'd all agree they're not what they were last year without Betts, but they're not pitching well. But to give up 5 earned runs, 8 hits on 4 innings, 8 strikeouts against the Red Sox is not. And for the season, 7.04 ERA, 1.77 WHIP. Mm-hmm. That's a tough thing for all of us. I'm certain to go into Yankee Stadium and back him right now against Garrett Cole and the Yankees line. So obviously, I didn't make any wagers on this or any investment or push at all.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be fun, obviously, though, once again, 20-game win streak for Garrett Cole. So just to watch it for that reason, it'll be entertaining. First 5 inning could be worth a look if you think Glasnow can bring his A game this week. Guys, let's look at the next game. Tony, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah.
White Sox and Tigers. Right now, Dunning about $1.50 home favorite over Mize. The total is 9 to the over. White Sox, Tigers. Tony, what do you think?
I am going to quickly say pass on this. Tigers have reverted back to what they were early in the season, and so I just have nothing. I digress here and just pass.
Yeah, I mean, 7 straight losses. This is a Detroit team that was 9-5 a week ago.
Yeah.
And Johnny Detroit was already spending some of the 500-1 money that he was going to win. Hopefully he is hedged out now, Rob, because they've lost 7 straight. They're now 9-12. They're the Tigers who we thought they were.
Yeah, 2 very young pitchers, both making their first start, both anticipated. Casey Mize certainly more hyped than Dane Dunning. But, if you're the White Sox, you're excited to see Dane Dunning go tonight. Both of these guys, the top pitch is the fastball, right? Mize, I think, somewhere in the 93 to 95 range and can, from most reports, top out at 97. But what's interesting about Mize, guys, is to be this young and have 5 pitches, according to most scouts, that are above average pitches. So he's got ways to get people out when he gets to that 2-strike count. Dunning, I'm not sure, has as many ways. The counter to that argument is these Detroit splits offensively, which are absolutely wicked. Against left-handed pitching this year, the Tigers been phenomenal. 305 batting average, 364 on base, 546 slugging, 910 OPS. But you contrast that to what they've done against righties this year. That batting average drops to 210 against right-handed pitching. The OPS drops to 654. That's a 256-point drop in OPS. So I would give an edge to Dunning there, just as being a right-hander. How long either one of these guys will go, your guess is as good as mine. They're probably both being nurtured on pitch counts here. I wouldn't think you'd see more than 5 innings out of either if everything goes great, which kind of puts it in the bullpen's hands at the end of the game. White Sox have a couple of guys out of that pen that won't go. It's not an especially deep bullpen to begin with, but you probably won't see Zach Birdie, who has thrown 3 of the last 4 nights. You probably won't see Cody Heyer, who's thrown 3 of the last 4 nights as well. So you shorten up their bullpen a little bit where Dunning's help is concerned. I find it a tough game to handicap. I like to play Casey Mize as an underdog here just because I think he's the better starting pitcher and you're getting plus price here. But the Tigers' offensive woes against righties are scaring me a little bit. Dave said earlier, scared money doesn't win, so maybe I should just go ahead and play Casey Mize tonight.
Well, Mize is the more hyped prospect. Obviously, he's number one, 1-1, and very mature from what I'm told. I mean, he just you wouldn't know that he's a young guy, and he's got a complete arsenal, as you mentioned. I think he immediately steps forward and becomes a quality major league pitcher. The bad news for him is he'll have trouble getting run support on a regular basis because he's on the Tigers. Dunning is, we'll see on Dunning. This will be his first real game since 2018 because he's another elbow guy. They mostly come back now, but you got to feel him out a little bit, see what he's doing, see whether or not he's got the courage of his convictions once he takes the mound. I think it's a wait-and-see type of thing. I would lean Tigers here, but I'm really not getting the price I wanted, and I think that's got to do with the hype on Mize. You look at where the prices have been in this series and what it is today. Let me get the current price rather than trying to read my writing, which is atrocious.
$1.50, take back plus 140 pretty much right now on the Tigers.
Oh, I see the Blue Jackets just scored again, by the way. Yeah, I mean, that's just not enough. If this is 190, 180 in that range, okay, I'll take my shot. But the odds makers adjusted for the hype surrounding Mize, and they did enough to adjust me right out of the game.
Yeah, and once again, great stat, Rob, you bring up about Tigers being much weaker against righties. We're at a point this season where, statistically we have a good sample size.
I might take a shot, and it's just an opinion. And I only have the one play today. I'm not backing it with money, but I might take a shot on under 5, first 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, Dave, because if Mize comes strong like he could, and then the Tigers don't hit righties, well, you're going to have the starter in there for the first 4 or 5 innings. I think the first 5 under makes a lot of sense. If you're going to play the under here, folks, I think the first 5, as we normally say, the first 5 is better for unders, but especially in this situation for the reasons these guys have mentioned.
Yeah, you wouldn't trust either bullpen, Steve. You wouldn't trust
exactly.
Either bullpen in this case.
Yeah, I mean, these bullpens have both been dicey this year. Tigers 5.5 ERA on the road, White Sox 4 at home. Both 5.5 run ERAs. Our last feature game, guys, is Diamondbacks. I'm going to go to Dave second because I want him to marinate on the ball to see if he's going to finally use the Diamondbacks today. Because I know there's been a couple times in the past week that we've all been kicking ourselves for not using them. Rob, let me start with you on this one. Arizona's a team that underachieved for the first few weeks, just like the Tigers overachieved. The Tigers have come back down to earth, as we just discussed. We mentioned that the Rockies were due to cool off a little bit. The Diamondbacks were kind of the one team after a few weeks I think everyone thought had underachieved, and now they have quietly won 6 straight, and they've won all 6 of those games as a $1.15 favorite or dog or less, or as a dog in 4 of the 6. Rob, do you think they keep it going tonight against an Oakland team that's been really hot until they ran into Arizona, has now lost back-to-back?
Yeah, well, certainly if you believe in hot starting pitching, Merrill Kelly's been exactly that. I mean, the one shining light in that starting staff has been Merrill Kelly all the way through. While until yesterday, Luke Weaver's home run woes, I think he had allowed 7 home runs in 13 and 2/3 innings so far this season, and then pitched pretty well yesterday. You go right up and down that starting pitching rotation for Arizona. Robbie Ray, who was so hyped coming into the season about having a terrific offseason, looked great, and then he's been a bust so far. So Merrill Kelly's been that guy with his array of, if you're a left-hander at this point, you're crafty. If you're a righty, I don't know how they describe you when you throw low velocity, a lot of pitches, good movement for Merrill Kelly. I don't know what to make of Luzardo at this point, guys, and maybe somebody on the panel has better insight into what this guy's going to be than I do. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, I do prefer them a little bit more against righties, but they show no real split lefty righty, so they hit both ways. One of the good things about that is that David Peralta can stand in the box against lefties and hit them just as well as he hits righties, and he's been good as of late. Tough to get in front of a freight train that is the Arizona Diamondbacks, but I will say this. If it comes down to bullpens, guys, Arizona has been a flat-out disaster bullpen-wise. It starts at the closer with Archie Bradley, who has not been consistent whatsoever. But you go through some of these arms that they counted on, Kevin Ginkel, and I'm not going to apply ERA to any relief pitcher at this point in time because ERA is the most misleading stat for a reliever, but a 3.0 whip. He's had a couple of implosions already where he's allowed 4 runs in an inning. Hector Rondon's been a mess, another 2.45 whip. He's allowed runs in 6 of his 9 appearances. Andrew Chafin, the lefty that they depend on situationally, but now they have to throw to 3 batters.
Yep.
Andrew Chafin, 1.95 whip. The best arm right now, and you saw him yesterday, has been Yohan Lopez for the most part. And that kid's got talent. Still raw, but he's got a lot of talent. I don't trust that bullpen late matched up against the Oakland bullpen if this is a close game. If Luzardo can go pitch for pitch with Kelly or vice versa, I would really make Oakland a strong favorite innings 7 through 9. But like I say, I just don't have a good read on Luzardo. Maybe one of you guys have a better read than I do.
Well, I mean, he's got a ton of talent, but he's young, and he's going to have games where he gets out of whack, and last game was a perfect example of that. But his stuff, I don't think there's any denying his stuff. He's potentially a number 1 starter. This Oakland rotation has a chance to be absolutely sensational, but they've also got a bunch of young guys. And, you saw it yesterday. I don't know whether his back was still stiff or what the story was, but
Montas
was awful yesterday, just awful. And the Diamondback killed him. And that's going to happen with young guys every now and then. Arizona's kind of hot. So I don't want to lay a price to them. Merrill Kelly's pitching very well. But there just wasn't, and oddly enough, it's still not the price I wanted. I made the line here 163, so I'm not getting any substantial value. Oakland, I think Oakland's going to be a little bit ticked off about yesterday's performance. I mean, they just get drilled, and they're an awfully good team. I don't know what to do with this game. I do know this, and you guys who watch every day, I'm not big on promoting stuff, but this has just been announced just now. I just got it on my message board. To celebrate, I'm going to read it. It's not I don't write this stuff. To celebrate Dave Koken going exclusive with Wager Talk, you can take 50% off any purchase of your choice, any one purchase from daily, today's game, to 1 full year of all sports. This special will be in effect till Sunday at midnight. There's a coupon code. Use the coupon code KOKIN50, COKIN 50, and you get 50% off any item you want. So there you go.
There you go, Dave. Look how fast I typed there for you. KOKIN50. There we go. KOKIN50. That's not
I wouldn't use it on an individual game. I mean, if you're going to use it on something, get a package. So anyway, as far as this game goes, I would not have any argument with anybody who wants to go first 5 under. I would not have any argument with anybody who wants to take a shot with the Diamondbacks. I mean, just the simplest form of handicapping, team on a big winning streak getting a big price. It didn't make my card because I didn't get the price I wanted, but I'm not going to talk anybody out of Arizona either.
Yeah, Tony, I mean, the Diamondbacks have won 6 straight. As Rob said, their bullpen has been atrocious this year compared to Oakland's. It's been probably the best in baseball. But the A's, you touched on this, Tony, about a week ago, how their batting average wasn't jiving with their other offensive output. That average came up a little bit recently, but of course, batting average is based on hits, and they had only 6 hits and 4 hits the last 2 nights in their losses. Do you trust them tonight to heat back up?
Well, I find these 2 teams really interesting. Oakland, I'd been riding Oakland quite a bit before this Arizona series. In fact, I got on them the first time, the first game of the series, and stepped back and said, it's time to get off them a little bit and watch. And Luzardo, I've had a bad read on him. I've played him once, and I failed miserably as he did, and he was pretty darn good. A couple times ago, much not what Kelly's been, but guys, here's my concern, and I've mentioned this last time we talked about this team, and that Kelly pitching is that he's had 4 starts. His left on base rate, his strand rate, 1,100%. His ERA is crazy, 1.71. He's got a FIP that's a 3.73. If you follow those, and I do, his walk rate is under 1. All these things don't match, and he doesn't listen. He has a less than 1 strikeout per inning. A guy he has been most of his career. So none of these stats match what he's done in his career. Now, if he continues this, he's a Cy Young. He's going to get some Cy Young votes.
Well, I'm not okay. I said this a couple of days ago. Don't know if you were on the show. And I am absolutely 100% certain about this. Mm-hmm. I don't know how Merrill Kelly's going to do moving forward long term, but I will tell you that he had Zach Greinke for a teammate. He has absolutely become a Zach Greinke light. Yeah. He does not have an outstanding pitch. Neither does Greinke, by the way. Greinke hasn't had one outstanding pitch for years because he's lost some velocity. But Greinke can throw 5 or 6 different pitches and throw them all where he wants. And that's what Merrill Kelly's doing. If you watch him pitch, he's throwing any pitch in any count, which means hitters can't figure him out. And he's commanding his pitches. And you don't have to have great stuff if you command your pitches. If you watched Greinke yesterday against the Rockies, it was Picasso. Okay? He never even hit 90 miles an hour in the game. He's thrown 66, 84, 75, 83. Nobody knows. He even told in the last game he even told the hitters what he was going to throw, and they couldn't figure out. That's what Merrill Kelly's doing right now. And I'm not saying he's going to have a Greinke-like career, but he learned this from Greinke. There's no question in my mind about that, and he is really riding it right now.
It was us that discussed that. You're right, and if that's the case, then I'll pay quite a bit of money for Greinke to come sit with me one time when I'm handicapping, because if I can pick up any of that stuff.
Tell you something. When he retires, they ought to be bidding. There ought to be a bidding war to hire him as a pitching coach.
I remember him when he's rookie, Dave, back when I was covering the Royals, and he had some social issues and took a year off because his anxiety was so high. But I couldn't agree with you more. If Kelly has done what you say Kelly has done and picked this up, then watch out, because he'll be a good pitcher. He'll be not good. He'll be a very good pitcher.
Greinke is the most cerebral pitcher since Greg Maddux.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Merrill Kelly, that was the weekend show because I was here as well. That was the second of their 6 straight wins. He got him going in that game, a 5-1 win against San Diego last weekend. I believe it was Sunday. And then, as I said, my namesake, Merrill Kelly, he's got 6 pitches. That's 5.5 more than I've got in my arsenal right now. I might have a slow fastball if that counts as a pitch. I've been working on the knuckler.
Interesting, guys, real quick to add on to what Dave was saying about how smart Zach Greinke is. I mean, the last couple years, 3 years, he's walked into the Arizona Diamondbacks draft room. They actually take input from him now on who they draft, just to tell you how much he pays attention to the little things, to the details in baseball. It's what makes him what he is. And like Dave said, whenever you can tell the other team what the pitch sequence is, or what the signal sequence is going to be, second set, second signal, and they've got a runner on second base, and they still fly out, you're pretty good.
If you know Greinke, he pulls no punches either. He'll tell you if he doesn't like you or if he thinks you got something wrong with your nose. He just tells you.
He's my favorite pitcher to watch. Yeah, he really is, because he's just a genius out there. He's a savant.
And the savants often are socially awkward, like you said, Tony. So that's there's a balance in life, right? He gives up something, but he becomes a savant as far as pitching. I'll tell you what,
Steve,
guys.
Real quick, just on that game in particular, I just want to add a little bit here, because I talked about the Arizona bullpen not being very good. For those of you who play in-game, if you're looking in-game tonight and this game is 2-2 in the 6th or 3-2 in the 6th, and you get Oakland's bullpen of Jake Diekman, Joakim Soria, Liam Hendricks, TJ McFarland, who's been outstanding against that Arizona bullpen, then maybe pull the trigger in game. It takes a lot of patience in betting. I know you might not get that result. You might not see a 2-2 game. It might be a 5-0. But if you do see that, I know I'll be looking, because I really would make Oakland a huge favorite in the back end of this ball game tonight, if it's close.
And also some runs could be scored at that point as well. So a little bit of Oakland, a little bit of the over in the end game from Rob Vino there. All right, boys, we got to hustle here on these other guys. Some good information on that. Let's do some quick hits. Let's keep it to 20, 30 seconds. If you got nothing, just say, I got nothing. Nothing wrong with that. Dave, I'll start with you. We'll just go down in schedule order here. The first game we haven't touched on was Indians-Pirates. Indians $1.80 favorite at Pittsburgh. Who trusts the Pirates? Anybody?
No. Prices. My price on the game was slightly lower than that. So it's a no play, but I don't want any part of the Pirates.
Yeah, as I say, Rob, I don't want anything to do with Pittsburgh. Cleveland minus 180. Is it too expensive, or is there still value there?
I don't know, because of their offense did break out a little bit, but I don't know that you can trust the Indian offense on a daily basis. So I would say I would stay away from laying that type of price. I have no play on this game, but maybe you look under, I don't know, Brault 0.57 whip in his last 7 innings, maybe coming around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland's who we thought they were, Tony. 4 straight wins coming in here. Of course, they feasted on Detroit and Pittsburgh on those 4 wins. But I see nothing with the Pirates this year that now stand at 4-15 overall.
I wish I could trust the Pirates, because I'd like to take a stab at beating Savali, but I'm not going to. I pass.
Yeah, I was going to say Pittsburgh is a tough team to back right now. Once again, 4-15 on the season. You know, we always talk about the team that's going to toss the towel early. They tossed the towel maybe before the season began. DeGrom, my man DeGrom, we talked about getting no run support, Dave. He's been getting a little bit more this year, but he's a $2.20 favorite over Miami and Lopez. Big number.
Yeah. He priced me out. I like Lopez. I've mentioned this previously. I think he's going to be the guy who emerges as the number 1 starter down the road for the Marlins if he stays healthy. His stuff is good. So this could be a low-scoring game. But, boy, oh, boy, the odds makers making you pay the price as far as that goes. And I just hate those 3.5s. So,
yeah, 3.5, of course, first 5. Rob, 7.5 for the game. I mean, obviously we like first 5 unders more. It takes the bullpen out, but then that 7.5 is probably a little bit of a more comfortable number if you're looking at the under, Rob. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I'll tell you who else loves Lopez is the manager of the team, Don Mattingly.
Yeah.
Can't say enough. Anytime asked about the kid and his arm and his stuff and how he's coming, progressing as far as his maturity is concerned. So, you know, it is an awful lot to ask of Jacob deGrom, who gets no run support. That's not a mirage anymore. It just happens to him all the time. You get caught in a 1-1 game here in the 6th, you're in trouble laying 220. So I probably would take my shot with Lopez or pass.
Yeah, Tony, the Mets off back-to-back wins over Miami here. They've outscored them 19-7 the last 2 games.
Yeah, Lopez last game may be his best. I know the best of this season. Obviously, 2 runs, 7 hits. He's showing spot on pinpoint control, and he still ends up walking 2 batters or 2.5 batters for 9 innings. I passed on this game, but he absolutely, Don Mattingly likes this kid, as Rob said, and he's got a future if he continues pitching like he is.
And by the way, the Marlins, of course, got off to that fast restart after the long layoff for a few weeks. They've gone just 2-7 straight up their last 9 since this fast start, and 0-4 against the Mets during that span. So the Mets have really feasted on the Marlins. Dave, what do you think of Nationals and Braves? AL East battle here. The Braves are $1.30 favorite, 10.5, a big total here.
that's the game I made my play on. So it's the only bet I made today. So I'll pass talking about it here. And if you want to find out about it, you can check it out at Wager Talk.
And once again, Koken50. I've got it on the screen right now. It's a promo code. You get 50% off any package, I believe.
And any one item.
Any one item. Okay, I'll definitely.
So you can buy a single game. You can buy a week, a month. Buy an annual, you'd save the most of the annual.
So any package would work. All right, I'll put it back up then. So it could be a full. I mean, that's an insane offer, people. If you're getting a package, if you're a smart investor and you're taking a long-term investment approach and you're getting a season subscription or a monthly or annual subscription, half price is putting hundreds of dollars into your bankroll before you get your first winner. So a fantastic offer at wagertalk.com.
It's good through Sunday, by the way.
It's good through Sunday?
The offer's good through Sunday. Yep.
Oh, great. So we got some time. We'll keep pumping that up there. Rob, any thoughts on this one? A big total, 10.5, Braves and Nationals.
Might be warranted, Steve. I mean, Kyle Wright, 6 of his last 7 starts, he hasn't even made it through 4 innings. So the Washington offense still can be somewhat productive. We know Atlanta's offense is productive. They got to Eric Fetty last year for, I think, 9 runs in a 3-inning stint. So maybe you look over. I can't look at either of these starting pitchers, and I don't want to put my faith in either one of the bullpens. So if I played it all, it would probably be towards the total.
Yeah, and Tony, once again, you know, Atlanta coming on a little bit. They had that slow start. The Nationals haven't quite picked it up yet this season.
Well, we talked about this many times. Like, until Atlanta shows me something different, I'll play them on against right-handers. I won't play them on them against left-handers. They're dismal, and I would probably agree with Rob on this and play to the over. If you saw last night, Washington's hitting much better than they were last week, and in a 60-game season, we're going to have to pick and choose our spots and hope we're right.
Yeah, and the zigzag theory, with NBA playoffs, we discussed the zigzag theory. It's been working pretty good with the Nationals recently. Alternated wins or losses their last 6. In fact, I think it's been nearly a month since they've won back-to-back games, and they did win 8-5 last night. I don't put too much into that, but it's just something interesting to keep an eye on how inconsistent they've been this year. Dave, let's look at the next one. We'll keep the momentum going here with the quick hits. We got Reds minus $1.90 favor, Bauer over Harvey at Kansas City. 6.5, very low total, obviously.
That's the second game, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just going to say, let me just touch on both of them because I had it here in schedule order, but that is actually game 2. So I'll give you both real quick. Game 1 is Castillo and Keller.
That's
Reds.
a pretty good matchup.
You like that one better?
Well, I think it's a good matchup. Keller's not terrible. He can get the ball down in the strike zone, and he's not terrible. Castillo's obviously better, but the Reds just not doing things offensively. And Keller, by the way, and I don't put a lot into this because it's small sample, but Keller, I think the Reds hitters who faced him are 4 for 34 or something like that. So, he's, and the Reds aren't exactly killing the ball. The second game, you want to bet on Matt Harvey? Good luck. I don't think there's anything there.
Yeah, Rob, we haven't had you, at least I haven't done the show with you with baseball yet this year. We do NBA tip-off, which will be at 3 Eastern here right after this show. But as far as these double headers, Rob, are you messing with them at all, seeing any edges in these 7-inning games?
I've had a couple of run line plays in these 7-inning double headers, Steve, but they are a different breed. That's for sure. You can almost, in instances where you have a pitcher like Trevor Bauer, who I think has been through one of these already. I think he threw a complete 7-inning game. I have to go back and check. It just seems to stick in my memory here. But when you have a guy like that, you may not need the bullpen. I think much like we asked the question about the St. Louis Cardinals the other day, although it was a little more extensive of a layoff, how does Cincinnati come back now that they've had a few days off for coronavirus postponements? But St. Louis swept a doubleheader that day, I think. So there might not be any angle there whatsoever. But I think Trevor Bauer, I wouldn't argue anybody who wants to lay a 1.5 against Matt Harvey. The second game, we'll see how the bullpens are used in game 1. But again, in a 7-inning doubleheader, it might not mean that much.
By the way, Tampa just tied it up against Columbus 4-4.
I mean, some high-scoring hockey games. I caught the tail end of that night's game last night.
There's nothing better than the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It's not too bad even without the fans there. It's got more energy than I was expecting. They've got that crowd noise pumped in. It's kind of cool.
And the Cardinals put up a 4 spot against Alec Mills in the first inning, which should be enough for Jack Flaherty.
Yeah, and they of course, if we had time, we'll touch on that second game at the bottom. They played another game in a couple hours in a doubleheader there. Speaking of doubleheaders, Tony, has anything changed for you? How you're approaching these? I think you kind of
no. I have not played one, and I may not.
I haven't either. Yeah, I haven't
Same
either.
Here. Same here. That's why I laid off the Flaherty game today, because that's a cheap price on Flaherty, and I didn't go for it. And well, it looks like I cost myself money, but that's the way it goes.
I was going to say, and that's the beauty of the quick hits here. If we have nothing, we say we got nothing. It's not no shame in that.
I will say this really quickly, and that is that I'm last year maybe one of the lowest points ever is when the Angels released Harvey, because I had faded him all, and I was so disappointed they released him because he was money fading. Quickly, here's the deal with Keller. Keller's really good for 5 innings. My concern is this. This is a 2-pitch pitcher. He's going a 2-pitch pitcher. And a guy who is a 2-pitch pitcher as a starter, it's really difficult in this day and age with hitters, the way they hit, the way they're professional, and the way they approach their craft, to go more than 5 innings. Now, and he's a fastball slider guy with a changeup that he uses very minimal and doesn't throw it very well. So I'll pass to tell you this. Keller will bounce time to time. And today may be that day. Castillo deserves a win, doesn't he? I don't know.
Yeah, and I was going to say, these 7 innings of bullpens are so random. Rob brought up earlier in-game wagering. I do think there's an advantage if you're watching in-game, especially in game 2s. If bullpens have been depleted, guys got to throw to 3 hitters. So keep an eye on these games. From a picks releasing perspective, there's not a lot for us to give out on these. We'll keep it moving here with the quick hits. Dave, let's look at Brewers and Twins. Brewers about $1. The Twins about $1.50 home favorite or so over the Brewers. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and the Twins will actually have a fresh bullpen. The closer didn't work, but Baldelli used some of his other guys last night, so his main 6th, 7th, 8th inning guys will be available, and they'll just I assume they'll close with Romo if that's the case. And listen, Hill's not going to go long, but he can get 5. He's got an advantage there. as far as the matchup goes against Anderson. And Anderson lost his piggyback because Burns is now in the starting rotation.
Yeah.
Good win for the Twins last night. They blow the 3-0 lead after Maeda loses the no-hitter in the ninth and found a way to win the game. Excellent work by their young bullpen guys, Thielebar and whoever the other guy they brought in was. Excellent. This team's good. They're good. They're well managed. I think they win tonight.
Yeah, Rob, the Brewers had their 3-game win streak, which they did against the Cubs on the road, a big series there, and they didn't necessarily come in flat, although maybe they did. They only had 4 hits overall. So do you think they can pick things back up tonight in Minnesota?
Generally speaking, Steve, a guy who's on a 20-day layoff and making his first start back off of somewhat of an injury, I would not want to play on him. But Rich Hill is a unique guy. Rich Hill can come back and he'll throw that curveball first start back and he'll shut these guys out. So, I mean, I saw enough of him. I'm a Dodger fan, have been since a kid, and you see enough of Rich Hill with the Dodgers to know that he bounces back better than anybody I've seen coming off the DL. So I wouldn't bet against him. As Dave mentioned, that Twins bullpen is so deep, and they'll have more arms than Milwaukee will have here to go in this one. So I would look towards the Twins here. Their home run capability alone against Brett Anderson, who's not, hasn't made it through 4, by intention, of course, because of the Burns piggyback. But I think Rich Hill's probably the right side.
Yeah, Tony, do you trust trying to handicap or guess how Hill will be? He took 10 days off with shoulder fatigue for his left arm.
Here's the deal. I wish I could trust Milwaukee offensively. If so, I would probably play the over, but that 9.5 is a number I'm staying away from. And it won't surprise me, guys, if 10 years from now, if I'm fortunate enough to be here, that I listen to you guys doing the show as I'm sitting in my retirement chair, and you're saying Rich Hill's going for the Twins today. That won't surprise me one bit.
That would surprise me.
Yeah, 40 years old, and he's still churning strong. So, guys, we got about 5 minutes left in like 4 or 5 games, so we got to hustle here. So we'll go through quick here. Just give me a couple, quick thoughts. Dave, what are your thoughts on the next one on the board here? We got Astros and Rockies. It's an interesting one to talk about.
Yeah, they're bombing the under in this. The first 5 under in particular is getting bombed here.
Yeah,
it's down. I think it's down to 6.5 now. Yeah, where is it here? Yep, it is. So, I mean, there's a lot of money in the under in this game in the first 5, and I can't disagree with it because Valdez. I like Valdez. I think his stuff will play at Coors, even though he's never pitched there before. Castellani is really interesting. Tony's talked about him at length, and he looks like the deal, but he doesn't go real long into games. The problem is there was 7.5 minus 15.
Whew.
You can't bet it under 6.5 now. You just can't do that. All right. I mean, that's a horrible way to bet if you're even considering taking a full run, the worst of it. So I pass, but I do think the under's probably the right play in the first 5.
Yeah, and our weekend host, of course, mid-major Matt Josephs has talked about how the first 5 is cashed better than the full games at Coors Field. The full game was 12.5 over. It's now 12.5 under. So a little movement there, but not nearly as much as Dave mentioned on the first 5. Rob, any quick thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm with Dave. I love Valdez's stuff from the left side. They've stretched him out a little bit, 95 and 103 pitches in his last 2. I did question somewhat how his stuff will play in Coors Field. But boy, oh boy, I'm not going to bet against him. If I play this game, it would be on him.
Yeah, he's I don't want to take too much time. He's throwing 60% fastballs. Those guys usually do okay at Coors.
Yeah, Antonio, any closing thoughts on the Astros and Rockies? And also let me know what you're looking at in Padres Rangers while I got you.
If I was a pure value player and I played value, nothing but value all day, I would probably, Dave, you can't play the under in that.
No,
I would probably, I'd probably take the value and take a shot at the over. It's Coors Field, but I didn't and I won't. So pass on that one. As far as the Padres game goes, I don't listen, I've been wrong about the Padres about 4 times in the last 5 times I have looked hard at them. And I'm not that stubborn. I'm going to pass until I have a better feel for this Padres team. It's just so easy. Pass.
Yeah, what do you think, Dave?
Under looks obvious with Lynn in fantastic form and Paddock facing a crappy offense. It didn't make my card. I gave it a thought at 4 because Lynn's been absolutely brilliant so far, and Paddock I think can do some dominating here. And I don't think they'll score 5 runs in the first 5.
He's right.
Probably the closest I came to a second play today was that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a game you're definitely looking at then.
But
Rob,
I didn't play it. Ultimately,
right.
did not play it.
Yeah, and Rob, we talked about earlier in the week, Texas was heating up in Colorado. They've cooled off now. San Diego had cooled off at Arizona. Now they're heating back up. Do you trust either team right now?
I agree totally with Dave, and I might even stretch it out and say under for the full game because I don't think either of these two starters will let the bullpens have to cover too much here. Lance Lynn, the reason why he's been tremendous, guys, is that rising fastball, which in this day of launch angle, everybody misses.
Yep.
Ball goes up, they swing from the dirt up, and Lance Lynn's ball just goes right over top of them. They can't lay off, so I think under is probably a good play here either way.
And guys, we got a couple LA games left, so I'll package them together and I'll throw them to you, Tony, first. Any thoughts on Dodgers, Mariners, or Angels, Giants?
I would love to play this under. In this Dodgers games, I won't because I don't trust Williams. And I've actually passed on both LA's games. You can figure out these Angels. You're better.
I can figure them out. They suck.
Okay.
They're 8-16. Okay, and what you're seeing is what you're seeing. And by the way, they are atrocious against lefties. At least they get to face a righty tonight in Cueto. I lean Angels, but there's no way I'm laying a price with them on the road.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants are pretty bad as well, so I guess that's the one time you can lean Angels is when they're playing a team.
Yeah, but the Giants were supposed to be bad. And the Angels, well, we got Joe Madden.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, of course, the other game, the Dodgers, Mariners. Mariners are as bad as anyone other than the Pirates, maybe. Dodgers, once again, a big favorite. I've said all year long.
I actually think they're too big a favorite. If you want to make your ballsy play of the day,
well,
go ahead and take a shot with Seattle for an upset.
So your big value underdog, your value underdog would be Seattle today, I guess.
No, there's no value in the Mariners because they're atrocious. But that's a big price, and Buehler's just not pitching well. I don't know that he rates being this price over anybody right now. His command just is not there.
And I was just say the Dodgers as a team, as I've said several times, they either win by margins by 2 or more, or they lose outright. So I definitely would not lay the -225, -230. Either play the run line, or as Dave said, take a shot with the money line on the big dog. Rob, any thought on either LA game here as we close out?
Yeah, the Angels season win total was the most ridiculous win total on the board. And as far as Dodgers Mariners go, I mean, we talked a little bit about, just not putting a lot of stock into it, but baseball zigzag theory. Here's why Taijuan Walker, guys, the reason why he's so inconsistent is because his location is, for lack of a better term, just piss poor. When it's there, he pitches well. It's usually not there, but he has had alternating starts. His first 4 this year, good, bad, good, bad. He's due for the bad here. If you get caught with bad location against the Dodgers, you're going to get run right off the field with the bats that they have. So I might look Dodgers run line in that game just because I don't trust Walker whatsoever.
Real quickly, it's not Buehler. It's Urias tonight.
Urias.
Yeah. Right, yeah, we saw that. But, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to bring up that Buehler will be on the mound soon. As you guys know, Buehler, where's Buehler? We'll find him. He'll be there soon.
It was a Freudian slip because I was looking at Buehler. Actually, while the show was going on, I had a Fangraphs thing on Buehler up because trying to figure out what's going on with him. And
well, I'll tell you what. I know, Dave, you and I don't do much with daily fantasy. Tony, you don't really hit it.
Oh yeah,
I just say if you guys have anyone, throw them out.
Here's what I got.
A minute.
I had Freddie Freeman for the hitter. He gets the hit against Eric Fetty. And why not Lance Lynn? I think I've given him out as the fantasy pitcher every time he's pitched, and that's worked pretty well. So again.
Rob, you got anybody? I mean, the rest of us normally don't look too much at it. Mid-major Matt's kind of our fantasy guy, but any play on or play against guys for you tonight?
I don't look at it much, guys. I would assume that Juan Soto costs an arm and a leg, but he gets to hit against Kyle Wright. So I would play Juan Soto in any lineup. And, I don't know what the cost of these guys, so it's hard to say. Does Lance Lynn cost a lot? Lance Lynn would be a good move.
Cost more than he did earlier in the season. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Tony, anybody you're looking at?
I don't know what the price is on Bauer, but I would try to say Bauer against Harvey and hope the Reds score a few. And hitters, how about pay for Yelich today? Pay for Yelich, even though it's lefty, I think. So, but I like that matchup.
When I like the one thing you mentioned too, Rob, and I don't know the prices either, but Dunning for the White Sox probably is reasonable. And you mentioned how bad the Tigers have been this year against right-handers versus lefties. So maybe take.
The only problem is he might only go 4 innings, and that
exactly. I was going to say for fantasy though, that it doesn't last long. It's definitely a problem. Yeah. So that's
Pablo Lopez, guys. We talked about the Mets non-support for Jacob deGrom. If that falls into line, maybe Lopez for the Miami Marlins at a low price.
Yeah, there you go.
guy.
Guys, great shows. Once again, Dave's got a fantastic promo at Wager Talk, 50% off any package. Once again, Coke in 50. Coke in 50. It's half price. Goes through this Sunday. But don't wait. Get on board now and start making some money today on Wednesday. And then, of course, all of us have best bets each and every day, including tonight on Wednesday. WagerTalk.com, SportsMemo.com as well has great best bets. And all of us, once again, on WagerTalk.com. Great show, guys. Back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific from MLB First Pitch Live. And then stay tuned. Myself, Tony Finn, and Rob will be on in about 5 to 10 minutes here. Actually, 10 minutes exact at 3 p.m. Eastern with NBA Tip-Off. Great show, guys. Good luck tonight.